How do I find my purpose? How do I beat temptation as a teen? How can I actually live for Christ as a young Christian? Today, I'm going to be answering the most common questions that I get as a Christian. I actually decided to ask my Instagram one of the most common questions that young Christians have, and today I'm just going to be answering those. Before we get in though, I want to thank y'all for 20,000 subscribers. But when I started, I did not expect to be here today. I really do appreciate all of y'all for supporting, but let's not take too long on that. We still going up. Let's get into that first question. Also, if you want me to answer your question, follow my Instagram. That's where I do a lot of these polls. I try to do it every single month. So since it's the beginning of June, shoot, we probably gonna run that poll up again. So first question though, how do I find my purpose? I know winning souls is one, but specifically, what is my purpose? Well, first with that, you have to find your passion. Psalms chapter 37 verse 4 says, delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. So God doesn't want you working a job that you're not passionate about or working somewhere that you don't want to work. He wants to give you the desires of your heart. And you find that passion by going out and doing stuff. You might even have to go to college to figure out what you're passionate about. But you also have to notice how it says delight yourself in the Lord. So you must delight yourself in the Lord first. You must focus on your relationship first with God, and then he will give you the desires of the heart, and he will change your desires. So if your desires are to party, drink, and smoke, and they used to be that in the world, God will change you. He will renew your mind once you come to him. And you really can find your passion in high school. Like, I always knew I kind of like editing, but I never, took that next step until I created YouTube and gave my life to God. So that's why I say, give your life to God first, and he will guide your steps. And lastly, once you find something that you're passionate about, but also proficient at, meaning that you're actually decent, that's actually a skill that you have, you must use that purpose to serve other people. Because our purpose here is to serve others, not ourselves. So find your passion, get good at that passion, get proficient at it, and then learn how you can serve others with that purpose. And number two, how do you stop temptation? Well, I'm sorry to say, but you can't stop no temptation. Hey, the temptation gonna come, but it's how do you endure temptation? Because James chapter 1 verse 12 actually tells us that blessed are those who endure temptation. But I know as a young teenager, it's harder to endure temptation, especially when you have friends around you doing things that are not of the world, or some people not taking God too serious. So the best way to endure temptation is first get people around you who are going to build you up and get you closer to Christ. You can't just have like one worldly friend group and just go to church on Sunday. No, you need both friend groups if you're going to hang out with some worldly friends. Number two, and there's a verse on this, it's in Psalms chapter 119, verse 9, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. It even says, how can a young man stay pure? It says by taking heed to the word, meaning that you must be in your word. You must be taking heed to it, meaning paying close attention to it, because that's how you can build your relationship with God, and that's how you can get your spirit stronger. And when your spirit is strong, that's when you can fight them temptations. And that actually brings me to the third question, which is how do you have a good relationship with God? Well, that's pretty simple. Make sure you're making time for God, actually spending time. Basically, like any other relationship. Say you going to talk to a girl and you want to get to know her. What you gonna do? You're gonna take her out to dinner. You're gonna talk to her all day. Your mind is gonna be on her, basically majority of the day. And that's really how you're supposed to have a relationship with Christ. Your mind is supposed to be on him 24/7. You're supposed to be eager to wake up and go talk to him and go read the word, because you read the word to get to know God. You pray to go and talk to God, and you worship him to get more intimate with him, also fast. And when you do those things, that's when you start to build a better relationship with God. Also going to church and fellowshipping with different believers. And this is a two-in-one question. How do I get consistent with reading the Bible? And how can I make time for God as a busy student? Well, first, how do you make time for God? By making him your number one priority. Because if he's your number one priority, then you're gonna make time for him. It's just like if God says, I'll give you $1,000,000 if you read the Bible every single day. You're gonna read the Bible every single day because that's your number one priority. But if you don't feel like it's important, then you won't make time for God. And second, with that, how do I get consistent with reading the Bible? Well, it's really just by making a time for God. My personal time is before I wake up and before I go to sleep. Those are the times that I'm making sure that I read the Bible every single day. I can't miss it. And once you do that, it becomes a habit. And once it becomes a habit, it's hard not to read the Bible. Like if I don't wake up and read the Bible, it's so like it feels so weird, honestly. Especially if I go without reading it during the night. I haven't done that in a while, so I don't even know how it feels. But it feels weird when I about to go to sleep and I haven't read the word. That's where you need to get to. Like even if you're busy, I remember I was working 60-hour jobs. Like I was still getting time for God. It might not have been much as I used to, but I was making sure I got time for God. So it doesn't matter how much time. There's 24 hours in a day. You can make time for God. I promise you. All right, next questions. Yo, the Bible says it's a shame as a man to have long hair. So should I cut my dreads? What do you think about 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 13? Is it appropriate to have long hair as a man? Man, I hope y'all know this is my first video. Like, if y'all go to oldest on my channel, I have a full breakdown of what I thought. That was my first video. It was 4 months ago, and I literally did a full breakdown. But I can go back into it. Let's go back into it. Now I know it's a trend for especially teens and younger people to have like dreads and long hair, but a lot of other Christians get, I should say, religious about it and get mad, even though God tells us that He doesn't judge the outside appearance. But let's read the scripture. 1 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 13 says, "Judge for yourself. Is it proper for a woman to pray to God with her head uncovered? Does not the very nature of things teach you that if a man has long hair, it is a disgrace for him, but that if a woman has long hair, it is glory, for long hair is given to her as a covering?" Now, many people read that and just stop and just be like, yeah, that's it. That's all I need to know, Paul. That's all I need to know. But little do they know that's Paul talking and not, a spiritual law. So it's not a sin, because literally, if you read the last verse, it says, if anyone wants to be contentious, means, which is to argue, we have no practice, nor do the churches of God. So if you literally just read one more verse, it says there is no practice or law against it. Now, will I always have dreads? No, I'm probably going to get rid of these. Who knows when, but shoot, now is not the time. If God leads me to cut off my hair, I will. You also got to take into consideration that God used Samson's long hair to give him glory. So if it was a disgrace to God, He probably wouldn't have used it on Samson. I'm not going to argue about it because, hey, it is what it is. Now, what are your thoughts on boyfriend and girlfriend relationships as a Christian? I know many people, get into relationships in high school and college, which I necessarily don't have a problem with. I know a lot of the pastors or, followers of Christ call it courting instead of boyfriend and girlfriend. But I'm not too familiar with this because I don't know the difference between a courtship and a boyfriend and girlfriend. That's just a regular Christian relationship that's waiting till marriage. Now, what I have a problem with is when you're fornicating before marriage, when you're committing adultery before marriage, that is a no-go. But if you just claim the other person as like a boyfriend or girlfriend, then that's where some people get mixed up, because I guess you're not supposed to claim anybody before marriage, but there's no specific thing in the Bible on that. Well, of course, that I know about right now, but I'm gonna have to go into more details about that. But if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, make sure y'all not fornicating, y'all not lusting after each other, and make sure that the relationship is to glorify God. But other than that, that's it. The next question, at what age are you mature enough to date? I don't think it's a certain age, because I know there's some 18-year-olds that are more mature than a 25-year-old. There's some 19-year-olds that are more mature than you, even 40-year-olds. So age doesn't always have to play a part in maturity. Yes, I'm not talking about like a 13, 14, 15-year-old, but I'm talking about like when you are fully developed. Age doesn't always have to play a part in maturity. So I'd say you are ready to date when you are spiritually ready. That means you're in your word, you have a great relationship with God, and you can basically be single and not have to worry about it. You're not worried about no past drama or nothing like that, and you're not relying on the other person to give you comfort, because that's what Jesus is supposed to do. And if you try to make that your source of peace, that relationship your source of peace, then that's when it becomes an idol. So be spiritually ready, be physically ready. Mean, like, bro, get in shape, man. Make sure you eating right. Make sure you can, you're healthy and you have great habits, and that you're actually working towards something. Because that brings me to 3, you got to be ready to spend some money, because, hey, You know, you got to go on some dates and different stuff like that. So I'm not saying you have to be able to provide for like a whole entire family, but you actually have to be able to provide for like, you know, different dates and different stuff like that. Also have ambitions, have goals set, make sure that you have a purpose and you're not just sitting down, you know, with no goals. Because the word tells us that he who doesn't provide for his household is worse than an unbeliever. So you just have to have goals set and be ready to make time for her also. So, all right, so we got a couple more questions. How do you find someone to date? Well, you don't really find someone, they come at like the right time. So, because the word actually tells us a good woman is a gift from God, meaning that we don't look for gifts. We don't go and, you know, look to see or seek for a gift. It's actually given to us. Now, you do ask for gifts, so you can ask God, yo, like, God, I feel like I'm ready for a woman. And obviously, he's not going to give you a woman if he feels like you're not ready for it. So that's why you have to be preparing, meaning you should be so focused on your goals, you're not worried about a woman. So focused on getting a relationship with God, you're not worried about a woman. Then that's when God will send someone your way. That could just be at a church, that could be at a mall, that could be in a community. Also put yourself in that environment if you feel like you're ready. Put yourself in an environment where you feel like God can bless you with a woman. Because a woman not going to just knock at your door and be like, hey, I'm your husband, I'm your wife. So put yourself in an environment, go and talk to people, go and network, and then you end up finding one. So, and the question is similar to it. It says, does God send someone? If so, what if that person didn't work out? I'm going to answer this question with the next question. It says, how do you know if the person is God sent or a lesson from God? Well, sometimes you don't 100% know, because with a relationship always comes faith. You have to have faith in the other person. You have to have faith in a relationship. So you don't always know 100%, but you know you can have evidence, just like our relationship with God. Being equally yoked is one. Is she drifting you away from God? Is your relationship with God deterring because of her? Is she drifting you away from your ambitions, your purpose, or is she building you up? And for the woman, is he building you up? Is he caring for you? Is he making sure that you're in your word, leading you closer to Christ, or is he leading you away? That's not the only thing. Y'all also have to click. Are y'all arguing a lot? Do y'all share similar interests? And one thing that I know that can confirm that y'all are kind of like meant to be together, not 100%, but you know, like 90%, is if y'all go through the struggle together, if y'all been through all the arguments, if y'all been through the struggle and yet y'all are still together and like happy, and that's how you know that you found the one. Because you don't know the person's true colors until you go through the struggle, until you go through the bad times where y'all both mad at each other. Now, I'm not saying that y'all have to argue, because you can go through a whole relationship and not argue. Now, is it common? No, but you can do it. But what do y'all do when y'all both mad at each other? Are y'all just gonna break up? Are y'all just gonna take a break? Is the other person gonna cheat on them? It's like, what do you do when conflict occurs in a relationship? So yeah, you won't know 100%, and that's why we do courtships. That's why we date, to get to know the person and to see if they're actually for us, if y'all are equally yoked, y'all are share the same interests. So last but not least, how to make godly friends. I have little to no friends. Surrounding yourself with people who are going to build you up, people who are Christian, is one of the best investments you can ever make in your life. Because the worldly saying you are who you hang around is actually biblical. And it's 100% true. So in order to find good friends, you need to put yourself in an environment where those friends will be. So church, you need to go and look for different churches. If you're into business, well, go to a class that teaches business and go make friends with the, classmates. If you're into sports, go to the gym. Start going to the gym, man. Go network with people. You need to talk to people. And lastly, you could join a community, which I actually just made one myself. Online communities are one of the best way to network with people, because first, you ain't got to be shy. I know it's sometimes hard going and talk to a random person. But second, it's much more convenient. Like, you can just do it with just a click of a button. And that's why I made my Discord community. So if my audience wanted to talk to me or just to have a community of Christian believers, then they can just go into Discord and chat it up with some people. And if you also put where you're from, maybe you can find people that are near you, and then y'all can just become friends that way. So yeah, but those are the questions that I got. See, I got a whole bunch more very, very juicy questions that I want to get to, but this video is already too long. So of course, if y'all want a part 2, make sure you hit that like, the subscribe button. We already hit 20K, and I really do appreciate all y'all for that. But if y'all like these long form videos, make sure you leave a comment. Also, ask any questions down in the comments. I'm going to be answering them. I'm going to be looking at the comments. But again, appreciate y'all for watching. And of course, I'll see y'all in the next one. So y'all stay blessed.